I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, October the 25th, brought to you in part by a new sponsor, Hashi Insurance. Steve Hashi is a close personal friend of mine. He and his son John run their insurance company together there from Lake Preston, South Dakota, but they can help you wherever you're at in the country. Was mostly in crop insurance, and he was a long-time crop adjuster there, offers all kinds of crop insurance there. But he's got some interesting scenarios there with life insurance to use it as an investment, and then you can borrow that money right back from yourself to run your operation. It's an interesting scenario that he's got for that, but also offering ag insurance like your pasture, rangeland, and forage policies that insure against the lack of precipitation, which you guys know what that could do. And then also livestock risk protection, or LRP. He's also a expert in that, helping you, insure yourself against the market going down. But I tell you what, you need to call him. And if you get a hold of him there at hashiinsurance.com, you can learn more about their agency, get their contact information, and call and talk to Steve himself. Great guy to talk to, and he knows a lot about a lot of different things, and so I think you'll enjoy getting to know Steve Hashi. Bullish cattle on feed, and that's saying it mildly. We had a real bullish cattle on feed report. I hope it's one that the market pays attention to. I would fully expect your board to be up big. Both feeder cattle and live cattle futures. I think they should be up big if they realize this report at all. We already saw your feeder cattle auctions see some significant gains on Friday afternoon in some of your big sales, and then on Saturday in some of the sales that we had out there. But our October inventories come in at 98.6 compared to the average of the analyst guessed, which was 99.3. So that's very bullish. Your placements, of course, that's the one that's always the misnomer there, but your placements for September come in at 97.1, and that's against the average of the analyst guess, which was 101.2. Big time bullish there. We didn't see a lot of yearlings moving. We pretty much ran out of them, and I was a little afraid, if you listen to my last visit, that some of those peewee calves that we started seeing moving in the northern plains, because it was so dry out there, I thought they might move into some bigger facilities and get counted as cattle on feed, but they did not. So that was a very, very bullish cattle on feed report, and we should realize that. Marketings were a little bit disappointing at 96.9 compared to the average of the analyst guess at 97.3, but your packers are not pushing the issue on keeping your kills up, so you're not going to be able to market a whole lot that way. But it sure should be realized here at the beginning of the week. The board should open up a lot higher, and I'd be very disappointed if it wasn't. Of course, sometimes they don't choose to pay much attention, but I don't know how you could discount this cattle on feed report that we had on Friday. Look at some other things going on. Big rains out in California, Northern California, where we need it. I got a lot of friends out there, and they were sending pictures of water running, 3-inch rains, more. Big rains out there, and that is saving them. I tell you what, they've just been on fire and in really dire straits here, pretty much from the early summer right on through. They last winter thought they were going to be okay in early spring, but it turned off dry and they didn't get much rain at all. But thank God we got some rain out there in Northern California. Now we've got some wheat that's coming up in the southern plains, and your horizon is pretty well got a green tint to it everywhere you look. And most places got enough rain to at least get the wheat up. We could sure use some more rain down in the Texas Panhandle, but Oklahoma's had some rains. I've been out in Missouri here late last week and over the weekend, and big rains in Missouri, although they don't plant a lot of wheat there. Got too much good grass in the way, and row crops of big grains. But you look at this wheat, and I don't know if you guys have noticed it or not, but this wheat has gotten high, big time. Up Kansas City hard red winter wheat was up 26 1/4 sit just on Friday, sitting at 774 a bushel. When do you ever remember wheat being that high? Your spring wheat's even higher than that, but big time gains on your wheat. How's that going to affect your cattle? We don't feed that much wheat to them. We graze a lot of cattle on wheat. And I suspect that your wheat farmers and most of your grazers lease that wheat pasture off your wheat farmers. They're going to be very, very particular as to how you graze on that wheat. Now, typically your grazing doesn't hurt your yields for wheat, especially if you stick to the barriers there. You don't turn out till November the 15th, and that's if you've got that wheat rooted down good and it's not too muddy, or if muddy at all. But you don't turn out till November the 15th, and then you pull them off there by March the 15th, and then that wheat will come right on. Some say even better than it would if you don't graze it at all. But that wheat is going to be so precious to those farmers. Those wheat farmers have been growing that stuff forever, and they hardly ever get a decent price on it. They got a chance to do that this time, but they're probably going to be very particular. If we get some big rains or we get some heavy snows and then it turns off warm and it gets boggy out there, they're going to want those cattle off that wheat so they don't tromp much of it out. Some guys may kick them off altogether depending on what the conditions are, and I've been in situations where they do that, and there's not a hell of a lot you can do about it. But that could put a little bit of a damper on our wheat grazing with this wheat being so expensive there. But if you got a good farmer that you lease your wheat off of, and he'll take care of you and you take care of him, and just be respectful of his wheat pasture there, because if he goes ahead and makes a crop out of it and doesn't graze it out, he ought to get rewarded for that this year. And if he doesn't sell it on the board right now, he's crazy, because I can't believe it being this high. But also, there's not going to be probably much graze out wheat if we see this price stay up there like that. If it looks decent at all, those guys will try to make a crop out of it this time. But we've got tons of positive fundamentals in our cattle industry, and I'm a fundamental guy, and I think we're going to see some really good prices here for probably the next 3 years. I continue to preach and say, if we don't ask more for these fat cattle and try to get a little bit of leverage in our fat cattle arena, how the heck are we going to realize any of these fundamentals that are giving this the opportunity to get some market position and really make a lot of money? You know, I told you on our last visit, our beef cow slaughter so far this year, and we're getting deep in the year, is up nearly 20% compared to the average of the last 5 years. That is gigantic. Your heifer slaughter so far this year is up nearly 11% compared to the average of the last 5 years. I can't tell you how bullish that is. Our numbers are short, and these calves are going to start bringing big prices. But right now, if you guys look out there, talking about your LRP policies there with Hashi Insurance and some of the other professionals that offer that insurance, and if you're not comfortable taking a full hedge there, you can lock prices in on some cattle if you're going to background them this winter and get along really well and pretty well lock in a deal where you just keep them alive and put some weight on them, and you're going to make a pretty handsome profit right there. But I urge you guys to get in there and lock those in. But I think we're on a set pace where we're going to really see these prices of cattle. I mean, it's a product, and the way this inflation's going up, it's going to continue to get higher. And we would like to get back a bigger share of that retail dollar from your packer. If we could get some of these things pushed through, like your minimum negotiated cash trade and your truth in labeling bills that we've got out there, I think we could really do something and have an opportunity to get a lot of that equity back that's been lost over the last several years. I do have some sad news for you, and I hope this doesn't hit you. I want you to be sitting down when it does. But stock price of Beyond Meats, your fake meat company, and the most well-known and the biggest, have just plunged. It's a terrible deal, and it really breaks me up that Beyond Meat stocks have gone down so much. I hope those guys that invested in that fake meat product lose their ass. I love it. I think it's fantastic. They kept making excuses, and you know, the stock price is still like 14 times what their revenue is, and they fooled these people and talked them into investing in this stuff, which has just been a pipe dream. And I'm just tickled to death that it's fallen out of bed late in the week there last week, down 14%, as they're just not getting any revenue. Nobody wants to eat that crap. It's got the exact same ingredients as dog food. Now, who wants to eat it? And they're not getting anybody on there. They can't say that it's healthier because it's absolutely not as healthy as real beef. And so you know, that's good enough for them. Good enough for them. I hope everybody quits carrying that stuff and nobody gets to eating it. It's not fit to eat. But their revenue was down about 30% from projections of what they thought it was going to be, and I couldn't be happier about that. Let's talk about your board for last week. October live cattle futures. Monday was down 52 cents. Tuesday was down 45. Wednesday was up 95 cents, and then Thursday took it back away, down 97. Friday down 87, with October live cattle futures ending the week at 124.10. December ended the week at 128.32. Feeder cattle, October, Monday was down $1.82, Tuesday down 65, Wednesday was up 82 cents, Thursday up 32, and Friday down 82, with October feeder cattle ending the week at 155.42. And I expect those to be up big here on Monday, and I'd be really surprised if they weren't up, you know, $2 to $3 or more. November feeder cattle 156.90 at the end of the week there, and if you noticed on Friday they were down big, but that cattle on feed report come out after the board closed, and I guess maybe somebody thought that they it was going to be a bearish report, but man, were they wrong. And we should at least get that $2 to $3 back on your November and later months on your feeder cattle that we lost on Friday. At least get that back, and maybe that much more. And with these daily limits as big as they are, I mean, we could really turn this thing on its ear here early in the week. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday of last week, 55,600, which is a decent clip there. We would like to seen it closer to 70 or 75,000, but not quite as big as we'd seen over the last couple of weeks. But these packers are needing cattle. They're falling behind here. They're getting close to the knife. They've had to raise their prices. We saw some of the highest prices paid towards the mid to end of last week, and we should be gaining ground again here this week. But your live prices for steers and heifers last week up through Thursday were 123 to 127, and that was $1 to $2 higher. On the spread there, your weighted average on live steers 124.32, and that was up about 50 cents compared to where that weighted average was at the same time the week before. Your dressed steers and heifers selling from 195 to 196.50. That's unevenly steady there. Your weighted average on dressed steers 195.83, and that was up just marginally. It was the live prices turned to gain quite a bit of ground and not your dress this past week. But didn't have much trade at all on Friday because you know, especially after your cattle on feed report come out, but we don't see much late Friday afternoon trade anyway. But your cattle feeders were not going to take any less money, and your packers, of course, didn't want to give any more, so just didn't see much trade at all. No trade at all in Iowa. They had about 23,000 for the week there. Nebraska, about 500 head on Friday, all at 196 dressed. And their trade for the week was 15,300. Kansas only a couple of hundred and a little over 10,000 for the week, and that live price in Kansas was 124. Texas no trade and about 8,000 head for the week. Box beef cutout values have finally found a bottom. Thank goodness, you know, I mean, not that the Packers are needing it that bad, and they're still getting way more for their product, and then comparatively they want to pay for the cattle, of course, but at least we've seen it kind of bottom out, so they can quit freaking out about that, and maybe we'll see things kind of get a little more stability to them in your box beef cutout values. But choice cuts, your weighted average for all of last week come out to be 280.70, and that was about steady, or up just 14 cents from your weighted average of previous week. Select, a weighted average of all of last week was 261.99. That was actually up $1 from your weighted average from the previous week on all of that week's sales. And your Friday afternoon quotes were a good $1 or so higher than what those weighted averages were. So we're on the upswing now on your box beef cutout values. Slaughter ran at a really good clip. These Packers are going to need cattle this week. I bless you guys that still negotiate on them. I hope you get paid for it, and you should get more credit for it, because you guys are doing all the work while everybody else just sits back and turns cattle in and schedules them. But 661,000 for last week was 15,000 more than the previous week, and 16,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your real-time index for at the end of the week there through DV auction, that's your cash index from a 7 to 899 pound steers up through the middle 12 states, just like your CME cash feeder cattle index. It's just a day or two quicker when it comes out, and it's in more sales covered by DV auction and Cattle Market Central. But based on an 800 pound steer, 155.41, that was up $1.23 from the end of the previous week, so we were gaining. Big sales coming out this week. Joplin Regional Stockyards just having a moderate run here on Monday. About 4,000 head expected. You know, maybe some people will maybe round up a few more because they suspect that the market's going to be better, and I would say that it would be quite a bit better there in Oklahoma City too. But I was at Joplin Regional Stockyards over the weekend for the Seed Stock Plus sale there, and then had an opportunity to have a nice visit with my good friend Mark Harmon. We were talking about what was going on around there at Joplin. He showed me how their commingled deal is gaining ground here, and they've been doing it for the last several years. He tracks those numbers. We're going to come out and tell you kind of what they're doing in comparison, but we're seeing more commingled cattle, and if you guys can bring those cattle in on Sunday afternoon, for you guys, the smaller producers, or guys that just have a handful to sell and they're not real even, you know, instead of when your cattle come in, well, just a small lot of 2 or 3, or for sure 1, or, you know, less than 5 or 10, whenever that lot comes in, instead of the buyers checking their phone, you can commingle them with other people that are in the same boat, and it's got the same kind of cattle. They can bunch those cattle up, and then whenever those cattle come through, they bring top price, and you get that, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to commingle those cattle. It's a great deal. You guys need to get involved in it. Your cash feeder market and your sale barns last week, $1 to $5 higher on your feeder type cattle, especially late week, end of the week, and over the weekend. Your calves were kind of uneven. In the northern plains, there's just so many calves moving. Your best ranch raised reputation deals might bring a little bit more, might sell a little bit higher, but as you get into the run and guys run out of trucks, then you see your market tail back a little bit. And trucks is the biggest deal right now that's limiting the market, especially out there on your big strings of calves. There's just not enough trucks to haul them off, guys. And if more of you people would fall calf, that would smooth that out a little bit. We just don't have the infrastructure for 75% of us to have all of our calves in the first half of the year. It just won't work. We don't have enough pen space, we don't have enough shackle hooks, and we don't have enough trucks to haul them off. We've got to smooth that out a little bit. We're our own worst enemy there. Some of your big sales late last week, Justin Tupper sale there at St. On's Livestock, St. On's, South Dakota, had just a pinch over 10,000 on Friday. Gosh, it was late in the afternoon when I seen a video a guy sent me that went by the trailer line, and they don't have a gooseneck line, they have pot lines there, guys. There was 22 pots still waiting to unload there in St. Ange, South Dakota. Man, he kept the market good. Of course, you know, with the way that the report come out late in the evening, it got even stronger as the market went through. Of course, they had those good reputation cattle, some of the best cattle in the world selling there all day long, so didn't have to worry about the quality. But the market, the reporter called it steady to $6 higher there. Mostly all calves. They had a few feeder cattle there, but including this one stick-out deal that I saw from St. Ange. 137 head of steers weighed 426 at 214.75. Thought that was pretty impressive. Some other quotes from around the circuit. How about Crawford Livestock in Crawford, Nebraska? Friday they had a big sale there too. 66 head, 608-pound steer calves bring $177. And then at Burwell Livestock Market there in Burwell, Nebraska, how about 128 steers weighed deep in the fives, 556 pounds at $190.10. That was a pretty impressive deal. Talk about some yearling feeder cattle quotes. South Coffeyville, Oklahoma stockyards, 120 head of steers weighed 885 at 156.85. South Coffeyville stockyards. And then out east they can sell them too when yearlings are short, and they've got some out there. Jim Doss's sale at Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky, 56 head, 874-pound yearling feeder steers standing in the ring in Kentucky bring $157, people. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, and it was on Saturday in Erickson, Nebraska, 109 steer calves weighed 535, bring $203. That's your feeder flash for Monday.